I'm talking to Andy Furse, Product Manager for Options and Technology at BMW UK. Andy, it was April 2011, the last time I spoke to BMW about your connected drive technology. That time we had BMW Assist, BMW Online, BMW Tracking and BMW Teleservices. I'm guessing things have moved on quite a lot since then. Perhaps you can bring us up to date a bit.
Yes, I think it's been an exciting time in the industry as a whole, and things are moving on at a faster pace all the time. Yep. There's a lot of talk at the moment about autonomous vehicles, but before we even get into that stage, the last 4 years, BMW has taken huge steps forwards in the area of connectivity. We're already one of the industry leaders with our connected drive suite of technologies. Bits like our concierge service that was around 3 or 4 years ago under the BMW Assist umbrella has grown. So there's now 24/7 support, so you can be in the car, call anyone at any time with the professional media system. There's someone on hand that can look up train time information for you, send an address down to the car and straight into the navigation, all of that while you're driving along. So connecting the person to the outside world, either via a person or being able to look up with Google, send to car before they get to their vehicle and send a destination. All of this has really moved the game on, as well as being able to now control parts of your car from the remote app. So locking and unlocking your vehicle if you've left your keys in the boot, doing that from the app. Flashing headlights to help you find it in a busy car park. All of these bits you can now do from the app on your phone that we've had now for the last few years.
And I remember when we talked previously that there were various levels of service depending on options that a customer could take. Is that still the case?
We were the first manufacturer to add DAB digital radio standard on every car in the range. First manufacturer to add emergency call and teleservices as standard on every car in the range. So every BMW has a SIM card built into the vehicle, which offers a great level of functionality and greater than using an emergency call through a phone that's paired to the car. So actually now cars in the range can inform the emergency services of which airbags are deployed, how many occupants are in the vehicle at the time of an impact, and also the severity of the impact, so it can be prioritised by the emergency services as well. And that's now standard on every car in the range. And then moving on above that, you could add BMW Online, where you can do internet searches for destinations, points of interest, add email addresses into the vehicle itself, all of that using the embedded SIM card. And then going forward, some of the new services we've added in the past year or two include streaming music with all of the data paid for on that SIM card for you. So when you take the option, you can stream an unlimited amount of music, choose from 25 million songs that you've got at the touch of a button in the iDrive.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about HUDs, head-up displays, and augmented reality? I believe this is being demoed particularly in the latest Minis at the moment.
Yeah, so looking at that Mini concept of the augmented vision system, essentially it's almost like a pair of 3D glasses you can put on while you're driving. It allows you to see information that's projected out onto the road ahead of you. It also uses cameras and sensors around the car, so if an object is coming towards the side of the car and you were to turn your head, the glasses would allow you to effectively see through the door to see anything that's low down, maybe underneath the bonnet. So as you look around the vehicle, you can actually see through parts of the car to see the road around you. Particularly useful if you're parking next to a high curb to help you see what's next to you. Looking at head-up displays that are in the cars at the moment, we've rolled it out onto more and more cars in the range. So we were the first premium manufacturer to offer a head-up display system, and now we're taking that to new segments of vehicle.
And what sort of customer response have you been getting to head-up displays in particular?
So to our head-up display system, it's now been 11 years since we introduced that into BMW models. So it's become more and more understood in the industry and by our customers, our retailers as well. So I think it's the kind of option that a customer, once they've experienced it, either on a demonstrator vehicle or purchased it once, they do tend to repurchase the option because they see the benefit of having the information projected out ahead of them rather than having to look down into the vehicle. Items such as entertainment, so their radio stations, their media, their call list if they've paired a phone to the device, navigation, speed limit information, all available in colour ahead of them now.
So Andy, I've been hearing a little bit about the BMW Design Works studio. What can you tell us about that?
Okay, so BMW Group Design Works, it's a company that's under the BMW Group umbrella. It doesn't just work on vehicle projects though. One of the car projects they've worked on is the Vision Connected Drive concept car that came out a few years ago. So showing some of the new technologies people can expect to see on our vehicles in the coming years. Bits like a full windscreen head-up display, being able to flick items from screen to screen in the car, and connectivity of your device or your phone with the car and the outside world when you're in the vehicle. So that was shown on that concept car, but other bits they've worked on include in-flight entertainment for Panasonic and other companies. So it's a broader area really than just automotive, but they're taking what we've learned in vehicles and then applying that to other industries as well.
So BMW is opening up some of its technology to other manufacturers and other market sectors?
Yeah, and I think that will happen more and more, especially as we move into greater connectivity in vehicles and out of vehicles. These areas will overlap more and more as time progresses.
Okay, Andy, what's BMW's position on autonomous driving vehicles?
Autonomous driving is becoming more and more prevalent in vehicles, whether it's a small part. So recently we've shown what will be coming up on vehicles in the future, including remote parking. So potentially being able to park the car without you in the vehicle.
Right.
So by using the key or an app to continue parking. So if you're in a tight space, it's a great thing to have. So I think autonomous driving, it's not necessarily just about never being at the wheel yourself. It can be completing these small jobs for you. We already offer park assist on almost all the cars in the range from the 1 Series up. So you can hold a button in the car and it will complete the entire manoeuvre without any other driver input in some of the vehicles. So there are these small steps that are taking place incrementally across the range. But then in terms of autonomous driving where you don't need to take control, I think it's further off. It's something which is obviously being trialled here in the UK by some manufacturers, but it's something that BMW have looked at, are continuing to look at, and it was at the Consumer Electronics Show last year, so early 2014, where we shown the M235i that could drift around a racetrack without any driver input.
Right. Yes.
So it shows what's technically capable within the cars, but I think now it's looking at the wider issue in sort of the legal aspects as well as what can happen in the vehicle.
Now, as more and more technology gets implemented inside cars, cars become more and more complex. And despite the fact that consumers are becoming more familiar with using smartphones and devices and various wireless technologies, they still have issues. I mean, JD Power did raise as the primary issue that consumers have with their cars, failure of connectivity inside their cars. What is BMW doing to try to help resolve this situation?
I think one of the most important steps is making it easy for customers to connect items like their phone, but also making that as much as possible standard on the basic elements, so your Bluetooth telephone preparation being standard, being able to stream audio as standard. That bit takes away the step when the customer is ordering their car to know what do I need to do to get the items I would expect there in the vehicle straight away. So we've already taken that step to make all these features standard with Bluetooth audio streaming. So that's now available across the range. So that part's done. The next part is trying to make it easy for customers to understand how to do it. So we use a series of how-to videos available on our website.
Okay.
So with films shot specifically for the cars in the range, they can see how to connect their device, how to use BMW Online to add an email address. So we do try to add that level of support in terms of an easy-to-use tutorial.
And how does BMW see the consumer device integrating into the car in the future? I'm talking about beyond Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
I think there's various elements that can be added in addition to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So whether it's screencasting your device, people are using that at home more and more now to be able to cast elements of their screen, either for entertainment or other purposes.
Yes.
So that's obviously one area that may come in the future. Wireless charging of devices as well. So it's not necessarily just the connection to the car, but also being able to have your device ready for use when you get out of the car, and making that much easier for a customer rather than having to plug a cable in, especially if you're in a rush. It's much easier to be able to just drop it into a certain area in the car and it charges the device for you.
With all of these greater levels of connectivity and technology inside the car, there is scope for hacking. How will BMW deal with security?
BMW Group use the same kind of secure server that people use for online banking. So that same level of technology is applied to the back-end system. So, for example, using the remote app on your phone and then connecting it to your car. Initially, when you're setting that up, what will happen is as you create your account, it will ask you to retrieve a PIN code from the car, showing that you've got access to your vehicle to be able to access that PIN code. So if someone did have your phone, for instance, they wouldn't be able to just open the phone and then unlock your car. They would need the PIN first to be able to access the app, to then be able to unlock or lock your vehicle. But just unlocking the car wouldn't allow someone to start the vehicle.
No.
So it's important to separate the various elements here. They would still need a key to be able to then start the vehicle as well. So a remote app is there to help you retrieve your keys if you lost or left them in the boot, but it wouldn't allow someone to start the car. Also, the element which someone, if they were to say hack into the app, they wouldn't be able to control any autonomous cruise control function, for example, while you're driving the vehicle.
No.
That's separate to these sort of connected systems.
Can we talk a little bit about Android Auto and Apple CarPlay? There have been stories going around the industry that Android Auto compatibility is nowhere near as good as it could be, with certain key important phones not connecting as they should. What's BMW seeing here?
At the moment, BMW Group have confirmed we will support Apple CarPlay. We haven't announced that we will integrate Android Auto at the current time.
Right.
That is something that remains under review. We're obviously working to look at how best to integrate that into the vehicle, both from the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto perspective.
Does that leave BMW a little bit isolated at this point? Because obviously there are an awful lot of Android phone and device users out there in the marketplace.
The majority of BMW Group's customer base, looking at the devices that are connected to our vehicles, are currently on Apple iOS systems.
Right.
However, Android is one of the priorities we have in terms of connecting into the vehicle. It will remain that way. It's just at the moment we're looking for the best way to integrate any service into the car. It doesn't make sense for us to rush it out and it not meet customer expectation. And also, I think it's worth noting what is already available in the cars without these. So you can already access email in the vehicle, text messages in the vehicle. So you've got your calendar from your office that can be synced from the majority of phones onto the screen in the car. So many of the functions that will come from Android Auto or Apple CarPlay are already available in the vehicle anyway.
Okay, I suppose the main issue is with people trying to use Android apps in their cars, because most car manufacturers today are making it more possible for their drivers to use their apps in their cars. I could see that being one area where there might be a little frustration, possibly.
You can currently connect apps to the BMW iDrive system if you've got the apps interface option on the car. So that's all of our professional media systems have that. And it's also available for those without that system now. So you can actually even buy that if the car is already in market. So on a used vehicle, you can now add that as a service and download it directly into the car.
So BMW issued some press statements earlier this year about ownership of data in the car. We believe some third-party companies had approached BMW about your organisation selling them data that they could use with their apps. What is BMW's position on data security?
BMW Group, we made it quite clear that we won't be selling customer data to companies that approach us for advertising or marketing purposes. We obviously hold a lot of data about how a vehicle's being used to help benefit the customer.
Yes.
We are often approached by companies that tell us we could sell a service to you that will tell someone that they've been driving for 2 hours and serve them an advert for a drive-through restaurant that might be coming up. That is obviously being put forward towards BMW Group, but I'm sure to other manufacturers out there. And I don't think it suits us as a premium brand to be going out there and pushing adverts into cars for customers. I don't think it meets the expectations of BMW customers and drivers. But the data use and data ownership, I'm quite clear that the data we use is there to benefit customers, whether it's the location of the vehicle for an emergency call. So if the customer is unconscious, the car could automatically call out for them if the airbag's deployed and then send the emergency services to their location without the customer needing to do anything.
But there are different types of data, aren't there, Andy? I mean, there's data that could be useful in many of the connected insurance services, etc. these days, which is not quite the same as telling a customer that there's a coffee shop coming up or something like that. I mean, could BMW's position on this be flexible as time goes by? Or?
I think it depends if there's the customer benefit that I was talking about behind that. One thing that's been looked at and discussed in the past is a flexi-mile insurance, where it's something we looked at with BMW i, whereby depending on the number of miles you use, it could adjust your insurance. So if you were travelling less than you expected, then it can actually reduce your insurance premiums. So therefore there is that customer benefit. But that's using vehicle data, not providing information necessarily about the customer that they aren't already giving to the insurance company. So I think that, as you were saying, there's different types of data. It's also how that data is used and making sure we're not offering data of our customers they wouldn't be happy to be shared with companies they aren't aware of.
Okay. Well, at this point, you have a series of very high-profile, high-tech cars in your I-Series. Are the I-Series cars used as a technology demonstration flagship for the range, or is pretty much everything available across all BMW cars?
I think with BMW I models, it's not necessarily just the connected element, which is different. The majority of the connected car elements are available across the rest of the range.
Right.
One part that is unique is the intermodal routing, which is currently only available on the i3 or i8,
Right.
whereby if the navigation system worked out, it would be faster for you to park and maybe get the train. So say you're travelling from where we are now, west of London, into Westminster, for example, in central London, then it may suggest that you stop and get the tube for the last 20 minutes of your journey. And then it will give you that information about the tube times into the car for you.
Okay.
So rather than you be stuck in traffic, unable to enjoy driving the car, it would actually suggest that you take the faster option of public transport and then take your car back, especially when you're coming back out of the city. It's a perfect option.
And with the amount of tech that the customer has within I-Series cars and pretty much any car these days, do you have any concerns about distraction and customer safety through the ability to be doing so many different things in the car now?
I think it comes down to how it's integrated into the vehicle. If you can control that element via voice, so for example, if a text message or email comes into the car, that can be read aloud to you. You don't need to look away. You can actually then give the instruction to reply via voice and dictate a message back to the car. You don't need to take your eyes off the road to be typing in. And then it actually takes away the potential risks that someone may wish to look at their phone that they see vibrating next to them, if actually it can be read to them without them needing to take their hands off the wheel. So it is about how it's integrated into the vehicle, and that's why I was mentioning about touchscreen, having uses in certain situations, but the tactile feedback that we offer with like the iDrive controller, for example, voice recognition, actually helps the driver remain focused on the road.